What's up, guys? Specstar here today with my first battle of the TTM Summer Showdown tournament, and I'm going up here against Vesuvius, and he has got himself a team consisting of Latios, Mega Scizor, Heatran, Weavile, Togekiss, and that threat, that monster Palossand. Latios is his 1Z user, and mine, of course, is Koko. Now I'm going to switch over to my team here, which I've got. Let me get the angle right. My first mon here is a Mega Medicham, Adamant, dual priority, dual stab with enough speed to outpace Togekiss at max speed. Next up I've got a Tapu Koko, which is invested to outpace Weavile, and I'm Gracium Z for his Palossand. Next up I've got a Hawlucha, which is of course the Electric Seeds, Acrobatic, Sword Stance, Drain Punch to give it a little bit of longevity, and Fire Punch for the Mega Scizor. I've got enough speed, I believe, to outrun a Scarf Weavile, in case he wanted to bring that to try to catch Haw, even though I thought Ban was much more likely. Next up, I've got a Skarmory, Rocky Helmet for Scizor, Whirlwind also largely for Scizor, Stealth Rocks, Drill Peck. Drill Peck just helps with wearing a few things down. Next up, I have a Crocodile with Pursuit, Crunch, Earthquake, and Fire Fang, of course, for the Mega Scizor. I believe Sped for Weavile, if I'm not mistaken. And lastly, the Mon, which is a little bit cut off at the bottom, a Colbur Berry Regenerator, and the move you can't see at the bottom is Psyshock Slowking with Ice Beam, Toxic, Slack Off, and as I said, Psyshock. So let's go back to the battle here. Switch to the right scene, and I decided I just wanted to lead off with Medicham because it covered almost everything except for Palossand, pretty much. It has a pretty nice matchup against him. I just had to watch out for that Palossand, and if it did lead off, I could have went into potentially Skarm, Crook, Slowking, whatever. So I'm free to lead it. He'll lead Latios. I just want to get Fake Out damage on this. Do a decent chunk. Now it's in range of Fake Out into Bullet Punch, so I can deal with that later. I'm going to go into Slowking, which is probably my best answer to that thing. He's going to switch out into Scizor, and I'm going to make a switch into Koko, predicting him to switch out there. Here he Megas. I'm going to Volt Switch. Based on that damage, he looks to be quite bulk invested, which does come into play later with my thought process. He's going to knock me off and take Rocky Helmet damage. Here I opt to get up my Rocks because I think Rocks on each side is a little bit worse for him than it is for me. I'm going to switch out as he brings Stranon, and he's going to sub up, so my Slowking being non-Scald is actually really going to hurt me here. I'm going to have to switch out in my Koko, and he's going to Toxic me, which was my expectation of that turn there. Koko doesn't mind being Toxic too much, especially with me being able to Roost on Togekiss. I'm going to click Volt Switch. I think it depends on his investment if I'm able to break this, and I am not able to, which didn't really surprise me. I'm going to have to go to my Crook here, and this thing's really tricky for me to deal with, actually. Definitely kudos to him for bringing the Subtran. I'm going to break his sub with Earthquake. I'm going to click Earthquake one more time here, I believe. I think I clicked Earthquake one more. Yeah, I did. As he's going to Protect here. And now I'm going to predict him to switch out, and I'm going to pull a double myself. I believe I went into Medi here. Yeah, I did go into Medi here. And he's going to go into Latios. I'm just going to fake the thing out again. I'm not really too scared of Palossand coming in here. Not quite a pile of swine. And I'm going to be able to finish it off with Bullet Punch. So it's great to have that threat out of the way. Slowking, really my best switch in on that thing. It's a problem to deal with. And he's going to bring out his Togekiss, and I'm going to bring out my Koko, which is a pretty reliable answer to it. Here I'm going to predict him to bring in his Palossand, thinking it's a potential Koko answer, and I'm actually going to fire off my Gracium Z here. And it is going to do quite a bit to this thing as it comes in, which is really nice to have that damage off for Koko, for Medi, and for Haw to some extent too. And I'm going to go for another Grass Knot as he's going to go into his Heatran here. And here, I do not remember what I did. I think, I switched out predicting the Protect, trying to wear my Koko down. He instead subs up, which is pretty dangerous for me. Good play on his behalf there. And I'm going to go ahead and go for an Earthquake here as he protects. I just need to break this thing's sub. Potentially losing my Crook here, but I need to get rid of that sub somehow. And I'm going to break it there with my Earthquake. He's going to go for a Flamethrower. I'm going to lose my Crook here, but Latios, which it was mostly for, is down. And Palossand is not at any use at its low of health, so its roll is mostly gone. I'm going to bring my Hawlucha here, and I'm actually going to Sword Stance, thinking he may want to try to protect on a High Jump Kick. Instead, he Flamethrowers. Here, I'm going to Drain Punch pretty freely. He'll go out into Palossand, which is, of course, immune, and I'm going to be able to take this thing out with my Acrobatics. Now he's going to go ahead and bring in his Scizor, and this is where that bulk investment became relevant. He was, based on how well he took the Volt Switch, I thought there was a very good chance that he was just a full wall set. And if he was, Hawlucha at this point is able to take a Bullet Punch. So I'm actually just going to go right for the Drain Punch here. But as you'll see, the Bullet Punch does take down Hawlucha, and that's pretty relevant for me. And I'm going to have to bring in my Skarmory on this thing and just start... this gets a little boring. I just kind of phased his team around, trying to weaken things. Phasing. He'll bring in Heatran here. And I did not want to let this thing get a sub up, so I'm just going to Whirlwind. He'll Toxic, phasing, boring, until Koko comes in here on his Togekiss. And I'm just going to Volt Switch out here. Or no, I'm going to Roost first. What am I thinking? And here I decide to just go to my Skarmory, more boring Skarmory action. He's going to Sword Stance, and I'm going to do, say it with me folks, phasing, and then his Heatran's going to take my Skarmory down. So here I'm going to bring in my Medicham, and the first thing I'm going to do is just Fake Out. It's just a free way to burn a Protect if he opts to go for it there, without risking him hitting me back. And he'll bring in his Togekiss. I know I'm going to be able to take this thing out with Zen Headbutt, which is nice for me to have that thing out of the way. He's going to go Weavile. I'm pretty sure he's going to click Ice Shard to try to put me in range of Scizor. So I'm actually going to pull the switch in a Slowking. I didn't know if he would try to bring in Zor or Tran here. I'm going to pull my play back into Medicham here, knowing he will switch out though, because he is banded, locked in Ice Shard. I'm going to Fake Out the Scizor pretty freely, and here I'm going to throw off a High Jump Kick because neither of my other two Pokemon can come in on Scizor. He'll BP me, and unfortunately I am going to miss my High Jump Kick. And that's going to cost me the game because the rest of my team cannot beat this Scizor. Yeah, but that's the first thing I got to say is, yeah, that's Pokemon. That's how games are going to go. And I was talking to him after the game, and I said to him, that's how Pokemon works. I'm going to hack someone else, and then that person's going to hack him, and that's just the way it goes with this game. If I did land it, it's not like I just instantly won. I think it would have more or less came down to 50-50s with Heatran. Although it does kind of suck to lose the chance to win those 50-50s and get the game, but that's Pokemon. You don't play Pokemon for as long as I have without knowing that you're getting into that chance when you play any game. So I'm going to lose my first game here. Basically, it puts a lot of pressure on me. I have to win my last two games, but I'm going for those. I'm definitely going to put up the frickin' effort and try to win those games. As we drop to 0-1 -3. GG to my opponent. He played and prepped pretty well. The game had a little bit of a crappy conclusion, but it's no fault of his, so you can't really be upset with him about it. That's just Mons. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game more than I did. I want to thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a good night.